He announces loud enough for every recruit to absorb that after 3 weeks. She still moves like a civilian playing soldier, that maybe she should have stayed in whatever sought comfortable life she abandoned to waste their time for just a heartbeat. Her mind flashes to a different reality. A darkened room lit only by emergency lighting, her hands moving with impossible speed to disarm an attacker twice her size. A voice crackling through an earpiece confirming mission complete and exfiltration in 30 seconds. The memory evaporates as he lunges forward without warning. His massive hands close around her collar and shoulder with practiced brutality, using 200 pounds of muscle and bone to slam her viciously into the mud. The impact drives air from her lungs in a visible gasp, water and mud exploding upward in a fountain around her body. She lies there motionless for a moment, completely covered in filth, looking every bit the defeated victim he intended to create. Laughter erupts from the platoon, nervous and uncomfortable, but unmistakably present. The sound of people grateful they're not the ones lying in the mud. He plants his boots on either side of her mud-covered form, standing over her like a conqueror over the vanquished, proclaiming this is what weakness looks like. This is exactly what happens when someone doesn't belong. Something fundamental changes in her eyes. In that suspended moment, the docile, struggling recruit simply vanishes, replaced instantaneously by something cold and calculating and infinitely dangerous. Her hand shoots out with serpentine precision, fingers closing around his ankle at the exact pressure point where nerves cluster beneath skin, sending shockwaves of pain racing up his leg. In one impossibly fluid motion that seems to violate basic physics, she sweeps his supporting leg while simultaneously rolling her body to create devastating leverage. He crashes down with such force that mud sprays outward in a 6-foot radius, coating nearby recruits. Before his brain can process what's happening, before he can draw breath to protest, she has completely reversed their positions, applying a joint lock that immobilizes him with minimal visible effort. Her technique is absolutely flawless, the kind that only emerges from thousands of hours of deliberate practice. From training that goes far beyond anything taught in basic military hand-to-hand combat, absolute silence descends over the training ground like a suffocating blanket. Even the rain seems to pause mid-fall. Every recruit stands frozen, mouths open, eyes wide, unable to process what they've just witnessed. She speaks with perfect calm, her voice carrying clearly to every stunned observer, despite speaking barely above conversational volume. She explains the first rule of combat assessment. Never underestimate your opponent based solely on physical appearance, because assumptions are tactical vulnerabilities. She releases him smoothly and rises to stand at perfect military attention, covered head to toe in mud but composed as if awaiting inspection. Her posture textbook perfect, face betraying nothing. He rises slowly, painfully, his face transitioning through shades of red and purple that suggests both humiliation and barely contained rage. His mouth opens to deliver what would undoubtedly be a career-ending tirade when a commanding voice slices through the silence like a blade through silk. A distinguished officer with silver hair and carrying the quiet confidence of someone who never needs volume to command absolute authority steps forward from the crowd. Nobody had noticed him observing, positioned strategically at the formation's edge. His presence alone changes the atmosphere completely. The instructor stammers that he was simply demonstrating combat principles to the recruits. The officer interrupts smoothly, stating he observed precisely what was being demonstrated and believes the point has been illustrated quite effectively without requiring further elaboration. He then drops a bomb that shatters everything. He addresses her by a rank nobody expected, revealing she's actually one of their most highly decorated intelligence operatives. For the past 3 weeks, she's undergone their exact training regimen from the very beginning, enduring everything they experienced, plus considerable additional targeting, all to assess current training protocols and identify systemic vulnerabilities. The instructor stands completely frozen, the full realization of what he's done, slowly crystallizing in his expression like ice forming on glass. The officer continues without mercy, explaining that her report was entirely correct, that they have serious, potentially catastrophic vulnerabilities in how they evaluate recruit potential and identify future elite soldiers. He addresses the entire platoon, telling them to remember this day when they lead soldiers of their own, that the face of warfare is changing rapidly and brute strength alone won't win the complex battles waiting ahead. Sometimes the most valuable soldiers aren't the ones who demonstrate dominance loudest, but rather those who observe carefully, adapt intelligently, and wait for the precise tactical moment to reveal their capabilities. That evening, she methodically packs her minimal belongings in the barracks, her undercover mission finally complete. The door creaks open and she turns to find the two women from dinner standing awkwardly in the doorway, their body language uncertain. They ask permission to enter, the formal address sounding foreign and uncomfortable after 3 weeks of casual interaction. She tells them they don't need to use formalities when they're alone. They enter cautiously, approaching like people who thought they knew a house cat only to discover it was actually a tiger. One of them breaks the uncomfortable silence, asking why she endured 3 weeks of abuse when she could have neutralized him any time. She sets down the shirt she was folding with deliberate care and explains that the operation was unabouted the instructor. It was about all of them, about the system itself. She explains that military selection has become dangerously too focused on physical aggression and dominance, while completely missing crucial capabilities like psychological resilience, strategic thinking, and emotional intelligence that win modern conflicts. The enemies they face now don't always wear uniforms or march in formations. They hide in plain sight, exactly like she did for 3 weeks. And the soldiers who will stop them might not look anything like traditional warriors. They ask what she does, and she smiles with secrets, saying her particular skills prove valuable in certain contexts that benefit from unconventional approaches. They wonder what happens now to the training program, to all of them. She answers that training protocols will undergo complete transformation, and recruits like them who noticed something was unright but persevered anyway will receive the proper assessment and respect they've always deserved. A shadow materializes in the doorway. The instructor stands there, his usually imposing presence somehow diminished, stripped of its threatening quality. He's freshly showered, uniform pressed to absolute perfection, as if trying desperately to reclaim some shred of dignity through appearance. For a prolonged moment, he says absolutely nothing, struggling with words. Then he straightens his spine and offers a crisp, textbook perfect salute. He respectfully requests permission to review her operational findings to become a significantly better instructor for future soldiers. She studies him carefully, seeing past the bravado and humiliation to the actual soldier underneath. A man who, despite serious flaws, genuinely believes in serving something greater than his own ego. She returns the salute with equal military precision and approves his request, scheduling a comprehensive review for the next morning. 1 year later, the facility has transformed into the model for military training across all service branches. The revolutionary program she pioneered has expanded to 5 additional facilities, each adapting core principles to their specific requirements while maintaining the fundamental philosophy. Now promoted to a higher rank, she oversees strategic implementation from headquarters, working tirelessly to ensure changes take permanent root throughout military culture. During a rare visit back to the original facility, she observes a new class of diverse recruits tackling the final qualification exercise. The former instructor joins her on the observation platform, now serving as head instructor for the entire facility. His transformation complete, he comments on how much has changed since she first arrived. She responds quietly that it's for the better. A slight female recruit, reminiscent of herself, assumes command of a difficult tactical situation. Her quiet authority immediately respected by peers who previously might have dismissed her. It's a small moment, but symbolically powerful, representing everything they've built together. As the exercise concludes successfully, her photograph hangs prominently on the wall of honor, among other distinguished officers who changed the system from within. A fresh-faced recruit who reminds everyone of how she looked in the beginning stands at attention, quiet and observant, and completely underestimated. The cycle begins again, but this time with eyes wide open to possibilities previously invisible. The lesson has been learned. Never assume you know someone's capabilities based on what you see on the surface. True strength doesn't always announce itself with volume and aggression. Sometimes it waits patiently in the mud, watching and learning, until the precise moment arrives to reveal what was hidden all along.